All right, well, it seems the world is turning into one giant app. I mean, consumers downloaded more than 200 billion mobile apps just last year, and that might sound like a lot, right? But listen to this. Experts say there's still more to come. So let's get the very latest from our reporter, Michael Morelia, who's joining me right now. Michael, I'm over-apped. I mean, by this information, I have to say so myself. I mean, we know that apps are here, or at least meant to, supposedly, solve our issues. But, I mean, don't we already have enough apps, or do we just have a lot of problems?
You know what, Tamila, we're in the midst of the app revolution. That's actually what we're calling it today, because apps have been around for a long time, but it seems there's been an explosion in the number and the range of apps out there. And I asked a tech expert why we're seeing so many apps out there. And he said it's not necessarily that we have so many problems, it's just that we don't have time to solve our problems. So apps are designed to cut out some of the time and speed things up and find specific solutions. Toby Shapshak is the publisher of Stuff magazine. Let's very quickly listen to what he had to say.
Remember that for most people in the knowledge economy, time is the biggest factor. Time is the commodity. Time is what we have so little of. So if you can customize your experience and personalize your experience so you get exactly what it is you're looking for and not everything that's on the internet, that's a real advantage, certainly for me.
So, Tamila, let's focus on the numbers, and I'll give you a sense of the demand for those apps out there. So the State of Mobile report came out a few weeks ago, and that looks really at the number of downloads of apps around the world. We did the maths, Tamila, nearly 6,500 downloads per second on this planet. That equates to around about 204 billion downloads, as you said, in a single year. And that's a massive, massive amount compared to just 3 years ago when there were around about 140 billion downloads. So the figure has climbed, Tamila, by 45% in just 3 years. Phenomenal amount of growth in such a short period. But I also want to focus and go back to the issue of time, because although apps are supposed to save time, we tend to spend a lot of time on apps themselves. In fact, we're spending 35% more time now than we did just 2 years ago back in 2017. And this is going to blow you away. The report basically looks at the amount of time we spend on apps every day. The figure, Tamila, 3 hours, 40 minutes on average on apps per day. Just think about that. I mean, we tend to sleep for about 8 hours. We're spending almost 4 hours on apps. And I want to break down very quickly the activities and the kinds of apps that we're using in terms of our actual time. So take a look at this, Tamila. Games, about 10% of our time is spent there, roughly 20% on a range of other apps. About a fifth of our time spent on video or entertainment apps. Think of Netflix, for example, perhaps Showmax, and then, of course, 50% on social media or communications. Tamila?
Listen, it's not our fault that ENCA's app is quite addictive, and we just have to keep updated. But now we know that there's a lot of time spent on, apps. But, Michael, I understand there's another sector that's also growing.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is the shopping app. And take a look at this stat. 5.4 billion shopping apps downloaded last year, Tamila. That was a growth of around about 20% compared to the previous year. And another sector which is really booming is the fintech sector. So these are mobile banking apps, payment apps. You can even manage your stocks. If you've invested in the JSE, for example, you can even use an app to do that. So get a quick look at this figure. 1 trillion sessions with finance apps. In other words, people have engaged with those sorts of apps 1 trillion times in the space of just 12 months. That was in 2019. And as you can see, 100% growth over the past 2 years. There's really been an explosion in these sorts of apps just because they make life so much easier.
Yeah, there's practicality there indeed, but I'm over-apped, like I mentioned. So thank you so much, Michael, for making sure that we're up to date in terms of just how much we consume.